This Lucy video will teach you to recognize security risks in the workplace and how to react if a security situation arises. So, what is risk? Risk is defined as the likelihood of an undesirable outcome that results from an incident or an event. It has three components: threat, vulnerability, consequence. Your company may utilize various measures to minimize the risk to security, but no single measure could do what employees can by staying vigilant in all situations. So, what are the threats to workplace security? First, access and security control threats. They have to do with unauthorized access to sensitive areas or information. Typical access control procedures include employee and visitor identification checks or searches, limited access to keys and identification cards, verification of all deliveries, keeping a current database of employees' vehicles, limited access for contractors, vendors, and temporary employees, training mailroom personnel about recognizing suspicious items. Many facilities incorporate access control via employee and visitor badges and IDs that restrict entry to only certain areas. What you should know about your ID badge? It must be perfectly visible at all times. It is for your use only, no matter the circumstance or who's asking to borrow, share, or use your ID. A lost badge must be reported immediately. What about visitors and unfamiliar individuals? Non-employees should be issued a visitor's badge and must be escorted at all times. In case an individual seems suspicious, don't let them out of your sight and notify security about their presence right away. If you approach an unfamiliar individual, maintain a safe distance. Do not accept brief and unsatisfactory explanations. Use open-ended questions. Verify the legitimacy of the person's appointment. Notify security or your supervisor and wait for them. Number 2, criminal and terrorist threats. Any kind of organization, from hotels, banks, and grocery stores to manufacturing plants and nonprofit organizations, can become a criminal or terrorist activity venue. If you notice individuals who behave suspiciously, pay close attention for any signs of criminal or terrorist activity. Be aware how criminals or terrorists could use your facility for their own purposes. Immediately alert your security personnel. Report a situation if it looks or feels wrong. Behaviors that should raise your suspicion include nervousness, evasive attitudes, or undue need for privacy, attempts to gain access to restricted areas, individuals taking notes, pictures, or videos of the facility. Always be alert for changes or unusual situations around your workplace, such as tampered HVAC units, abandoned vehicles, damaged fence line, or missing property. Suspicious packages or items, like maps, liquids, fumes, etc. Should you notice anything unusual, immediately report the situation to appropriate security personnel. Other forms of criminal activity could include abandoned or suspicious vehicles, which you should report, bomb threats, which you should take seriously, suspicious packages or mail that you should not open, theft and diversion tactics used to gain information or items of high value. Number 3, workplace violence. Violent behavior can be a threat to any organization. Always pay attention to employees, former employees, visitors, and other individuals for signs of violent behavior. Report any suspicious behavior to appropriate personnel. What are some signs of violent behavior? Depression and/or withdrawal. Repeated violations of organizational policies. Explosive outbursts of anger or rage without provocation. Behavior that might indicate paranoia. Domestic problems leaking into the workplace. Severe financial problems. Previous violent incidents. Number 4, information and cyber threats. In today's technology-driven world, information is very important. We lock our work computers with passwords. We lock sensitive information in restricted areas or places. We store our information on devices with large storage capacities. Since organizations store tons of personally identifiable information, or PII, they need to follow some rules. Apply the need-to-know principle before disclosing PII to other personnel. Challenge the need for the requested PII before sharing. Consider PII materials for official use only. Limit the collection of PII for authorized purposes only. To safeguard sensitive information, store it in a place with access control. Never send sensitive information to unauthorized individuals. Never leave sensitive information on community workstations or printers. Avoid the loss or theft of computer devices and removable storage media. Destroy all sensitive information before disposal. Cybercriminals often use social engineering techniques to gain information. These involve phone interactions to impersonate someone and ask for confidential information. Face-to-face interactions to learn about the victim's interests, hobbies, and work. Email or social media interactions to gain the victim's trust and ask for personal information. Cyber threats can take many forms: hacker attacks, malicious programs like viruses, worms, malware, etc., information gathering, identity theft, theft of removable media. Protective measures that help against potential cybersecurity threats include firewalls and virus protection systems, password procedures, information encryption software, computer access control systems, computer security staff background checks and training, computer system recovery and restoration plans, intrusion detection systems, backup systems. Thank you for watching, and remember, always be attentive and careful for threats in your work environment. You never know when your vigilant observation might be needed.